Hello everybody out there, this is Pete Richter, the old retired cop from Baltimore City, coming to you again this week. I'm up here at Liberty Works Radio Network. Here's the phone number, 410-848-9191. 410-848-9191. And I want to hear from police out here to contradict anything that I say, okay? And that's 410-848-9191. There's another side to that badge that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it. And I had a lot to say this week, and before I left the house to drive up here, I checked my mail and got a letter from my attorney. And let me tell you how I wound up with this attorney. And first, let me say, look, your first line of defense for your constitutional rights is you. Your second line of defense is the police, and they've dropped the ball. And they've dropped the ball because the court system in this country is upside down. There's no such thing as justice when the heavyweights decide you're not supposed to have any justice. I told this story before, and it's the truth, and I dare anybody to call me a liar because I got all the evidence. But I moved from Baltimore City to Kent Island. That's on the eastern side of the Chesapeake Bay across from the Naval Academy. After working 2 jobs for 25 years, daughter's college and as an engineer, my son's in college and a businessman, put them all through school, did everything you're supposed to do, working all the overtime you could work, always hustling, making a buck. I finally moved to a house with a little bit of space around it. Just like the Jeffersons, man, I thought I'm moving up to the east side, get a piece of the pie. Well, I moved into a neighborhood that was controlled by covenances, and they're worthless. And my neighbors, who are selling bad cars on the street, drugs, kids playing drums 70 decibels 3 hours a day when you're trying to sleep, they seen me as a problem. Here comes this old cop down here. We got these drums pounding everybody's head. He's not going to like that. We have tractor trailers parked all over the place that against the rules. He's not going to like that. And we got businesses we're running out of the house that's illegal, all this stuff. So they seen me as a problem. And I tried to be nice to these people, you know, to blend into the neighborhood. Because, I mean, took me a long time to move up to a place where I could have a nice house like this. And these people are younger than me, and they're there. In the back of my mind is, oh, they got to be better than me. They got to be smarter than me. Well, they're smart, all right. They burglarized my home and did $22,000 worth of damage to it. The sheriff's department in Queen Anne's County, you talk about an incompetent bunch. They tell me that the neighbors did it, we can prove it, and we're going to get them. I like to fell over. You don't say that if you're the police. Just in case things go wrong. But that's what they said. Well, it took me about maybe week and a half to figure out they don't know what they're doing, or the fix is in. Something's wrong. Got with the wife. I says, look, 2 ways to handle this. Let me take care of it, or we'll do it the right way. My wife says we'll do it the right way, so that's what we've been doing it the right way. And when you're up against these crooks, it's unbelievable. So anyway, I'm telling you about bad cars on the street. How about cars that are listed to used car lots that aren't lots but offices in Houston, Texas, with expired temporary tags. Cars from Florida with expired tags for sale on the street. Here's a good one. Pickup truck with a for sale sign in the window with one of the burglary suspects' telephone number, serial number, history of 9 or 10 sales from New York to Florida and back again, displaying a Delaware license plate that's been expired for more than 4 years with a current sticker. Lieutenant Paul Kelly, Maryland State Police, warned the guy to move it because I'm complaining. 35, 40 fingerprints, palm prints, taken, never sent in to be analyzed. The burglar tool left on the ground, never taken in as evidence. Witnesses not talked to. It goes on and on and on. The original report to this burglary was rewritten 3 months after the fact and had over 65 mistakes in it. Unbelievable. So anyway, you work your way up the food chain. I worked my way up to a senator. And this senator was running for office, and he says, if I get elected, I'll help you. I said, thanks. So he got elected. I went to him for help. And what did he do? Politics got involved. He sends the Maryland State Police after my business. State Police come to my house, told me I needed a license for my business that I do not need, and that I'm not qualified for this license that I do not need. And if I did need it, I'm overqualified. And they told me that if I dare go to work, they're going to fine me $5,000 a day. I said, where did the complaint come from? And the trooper says, Lieutenant Gary Foster. I said, up here in Centerville? He said, no, he's over at Waterloo Barracks now in charge of licensing. Well, I said, let's get it on. So I go do battle with the Maryland State Police over at the Waterloo Barracks. They're in charge of licensing. They don't know what they're doing. They don't even know the law. So anyway, to make a long story short, I'm told that this Gary Foster got an anonymous complaint. I said, good. Let me see the facts. Let me see the letter. Let me see the notes he wrote when he got this anonymous call. And your phones are all recorded up here. Let's see the evidence. Then they go talk to Gary Foster. He comes back and says, oh, no. It was Sergeant Earl Beville of Homeland Security and the Maryland State Police. He made the complaint. And this doesn't make any sense. Well, anyway, I wound up getting on the phone with the senator's secretary, and I wanted to get to the head state police fellow at the time, a guy named Ed Norris. He went to jail for stealing the poor box money while he was in Baltimore City as a police commissioner. At this time, he's in charge of the Maryland State Police. He said, you can't get to him. You got to go up the chain of command. They want me to go up and see Captain Marty Knight up at the Centerville Barracks. I said, all right. I take my wife, my son, and a Christian guy that I play gospel music with every Thursday night at the convalescent home. And we go in to see this Captain Marty Knight. And I'll bring up these bad cars. He says, just a couple guys making an extra buck. We can't worry about that. My wife says, well, tell them to sell drugs to their kids for an extra buck. It's against the law. It's against the law. So I said, let's cut to the quick. I already researched the law, and I said, this is what Sergeant Earl Beville did. Here's a copy of the law. It's a violation of malfeasance in office laws. And the captain says in front of all these witnesses, wasn't him, wasn't Sergeant Beville, it was the senator. He said you were a pain and told the sergeant to get you. I couldn't believe his dummy said that, but that's what he said. So with that, I filed a complaint with the Maryland State Police against the senator and the sergeant. Well, an investigator, Christy Meekin, a sergeant in the internal investigation, sustains the complaint that I'm making. She sustains it. I'm tickled to death. Next week, paperwork comes from the head guy at the state police. Nobody did anything wrong, and Pete Richter is not entitled to copies of the reports. We got a Freedom of Information Act here. This is all public record. I'm entitled to it. Supposed to, but you can't get nothing. So anyway, with this, I decide to exercise my First Amendment rights. Hitler used the soldiers and the police to circumvent the rights of the Jewish citizens. And that's what this senator did to me. So I took a 1988 Beretta car of mine, vacuumed it out on video, drove it up to a place called, street called Pier 1, and while I'm driving up there, I'm narrating what's going to happen. I parked my car in the exact same spot where this senator parks a pickup truck with his name on there. You know, vote for him. And this is a popular spot for all the politicians that are running for office. So I get out with a bucket of real paint, and I put swastikas on my car, vote for this senator, paint my phone number on the car, paste a 4-page letter that I wrote to Governor Ehrlich about the corruption on Eastern Shore in Queen Anne's County that he wouldn't even answer. And I left the car there parked legally. Hour and 15 minutes after I left it there, my windshield's got a big crack in it. And it wasn't cracked when I put it there because I got pictures of the car. And the only people there were the sheriff's people. They put a repair order under my windshield wiper for this cracked windshield. It wasn't cracked when I put it there. You can't put a repair order on a parked car. Somebody has to be driving the car to get a repair order. Hello, police out there. What if you have an accident and you know your car's on the side of the road smashed up? You got to have time to get it out of there. You don't go up and put a repair order on the car. That's why somebody's got to be driving it. Next thing they do is tag my car for being abandoned. Well, the law in Maryland, not Pete Richter, but the law says an abandoned vehicle is inoperable and not moved for 48 hours. That's what an abandoned vehicle is. I've moved this car every 12 hours and videoed myself moving it. Next thing that happens is the state's attorney, a guy named Frank Cradaville, who wound up being a congressman's involved, and he tells the sheriff guys and the state police, leave him alone. He's protected under the First Amendment, and he's parked legally. Leave him alone. So what do? They tow my car away while it's parked legally, refuse to give me a ticket. I said, give me a ticket. You said it's abandoned, let's go to court. They said, no, you abandoned it, you got to pay a $100 tow fee to get your car back. I said, I'm paying nothing. Well, by law, they're supposed to notify me by registered mail if they're going to do anything with the car. They kept it about 2 months and crushed it into scrap metal. Crushed my car into scrap metal. Which led me to the next step, was a federal court up in Baltimore. And Judge Bennett was the presiding judge. And unbelievable. We called up a Deputy Beatty to be a witness for us, to make sure we get certain facts in about these senators. And you can't cross-examine your own witness. So, he testified, what we wanted him to say. And the county rested their case at that point. It had nothing to say to him. Then I got up and I testified, just like I told him, just like I just told you. Plus, we showed the video. Showed the video. Cut and dry. At that time, the judge gets the jury out of the courtroom, and nasty says to me, you didn't offer any evidence whatsoever to prove your case. Therefore, even if the jury rules in your favor, I'm going to override the jury. I like to fell out of the chair. So anyway, to make a long story short, if you're the county, what are you going to do? The judge just told you won the case. You can't lose it. The judge just said so. So we went right from there to the closing argument, or statement, where my lawyer reads the law out of the law book 4 or 5 times to the jury, and every time he reads it, the judge tells the jury, that's not the law. That can't be the law. Well, anyway, they ruled against me. I went to the next step. It was the Court of Appeals down in Richmond, Virginia. And I just got a letter today from my attorney that the court in Richmond is agreeing with the judge. Pete Richter up here, Liberty Works Radio Network. Take a little break. Pete Richter coming back here again. Liberty Works Radio Network, 410-848-9191. 410-848-9191. Court system in this country is a mess. And I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, supposedly. But this judge now, I told you what he did, and the appeals court won't take my appeal. So my next step is probably the Supreme Court. And what they do is, they drag you down, they nickel and dime you to death, and one of nickels and dimes are thousands of dollars. And, you hope to get this ACLU on your side. They champion these kind of things, but that's like pulling teeth, too. They got so many cases they're working on that it's hard to get help from them. And a guy like me, I'm from the old school. You hit me, I'm going to hit you back. So I don't care how big you are. I'm not going to hit you first, but you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. End of story. That's the way I was brought up. You don't pick on the weak. You don't pick on the old, the helpless. But somebody comes up and hits you, you got to hit them back. And we had a state's attorney in Baltimore City years ago, a guy named Swisher. And he ran on a platform that your home is your castle. Well, I thought about that. Castles got moats around them, places to shoot arrows from and cannons from, because your house is your castle. Somebody's going to try to invade it. And you got to stand up, for your rights. But the court system is out of control in this country. That's why the police are out of control. And this thing with my car, I'm not going away. I got the right to express my thoughts in writing, and that's what I did with my car. And that's what the police did, and that's what the court system did. But it's not over till it's over. Got a new state's attorney in Baltimore City, a guy named Bernstein. And he wants to have better relations with the police than the former state's attorney, Miss Jessamy. And judges in the city say they don't believe what certain police testified to. They don't want them up in the courtrooms because they lie so much. Well, this Jessamy had a list of police that she wouldn't allow to testify in Baltimore City because they keep getting caught in lies. And one of the things that I liked about Miss Jessamy was she would tell it like it is. Baltimore City Police locked up 10,000 people a year illegally for 11, 12 years. Illegally. Lock you up, take you and say, we're going to let you go, but sign this piece of paper. You can't do that. Big, large class action suit against that. And, there's all kinds of trouble with these, with the police. Yet in January, you had 4 officers involved in a fatal shooting of a colleague outside a nightclub. Police in plain clothes shoots a young kid that's at the nightclub. They're outside, but he shoots and kills the kid. Just then, as that's going down, here comes 4 more police up, and they shoot and kill the police. 41 shots fired. 23 or 26 of them into the dead policeman's body. And so far this year, $80,000 has been paid out by Baltimore City taxpayers for misconduct cases against the police. Unbelievable. And people don't know this, but to make a complaint against the police, you got to go to the police to make the complaint. And last week I talked about how some retired cops and some off-duty cops from different jurisdictions went around police stations asking for a report they could take home and fill out to make a complaint on a police officer. Needless to say, they was arrested, some of them beat up, pushed around, talked bad to the whole 9 yards. So if they want to burn the police, the department don't have any trouble burning the police, but they would rather not if they can help it. Get rid of a police because somebody made a complaint. If that complaint's justified, they'd rather not make the complaint but fire the guy for something else or make it so miserable he quits. Now, under Bernstein, Miss Jessamy, she instituted a squad that just went after police misconduct. And she had a woman named Miss Richter was in that office working for Jesse that handled these cases against the police, and she reported she wouldn't take a case to court against the policeman because the evidence all disappeared. It disappeared, and the mayor at the time was a fellow named Martin O'Malley. He's the governor now, and he blasted her for not having the G-damn guts to get off her you-know-what and take the case to trial anyway. How believe it? Unbelievable. And the police commissioner at the time was this Edward T. Norris that I mentioned before. He's the one that went to jail for stealing the poor box money. And I call it the poor box money because that money used to be in the station house. We would, get money, things, put it in the station house fund, donations, this kind of stuff. And if somebody's house burned down and they needed some money, we'd go into that station house fund and give it to the people. Christmas time, buy turkeys for poor people, this kind of stuff. And later on, that station house fund was taken away from the districts and taken downtown under a commissioner named Pomerleau. And that's the fund that this Norris wound up taking the money, misusing that money. And the squad that Miss Jessamy had investigating the police was 5 people, but they never had more than 3 on the staff to begin with. And got 19 police officers charged and indicted for an operation with tow trucks is going on. And the new state's attorney, Bernstein, says he's getting rid of this list. They want to have better relations with the police. But it's just unbelievable, the stuff that goes on. There was a Sergeant Atkins, and Miss Jessamy accused him of falsifying police reports. Well, they didn't fire him or nothing. They moved him around, and the city had to pay out a $123,000 judgment against the police, finding that he committed false imprisonment, malicious prosecution, and battery. Instead of getting rid of him in the first place, they had to wind up spending all this extra money. Well, anyway, we'll see what this new state's attorney does. He's in hot water already. The Jewish community has their own block watch, and I don't know who's right and who's wrong, but the Jewish guys supposedly roughed up some black guy, and they charged the Jewish guy with assault, and then got in the courthouse. The Jewish community's on one side of the steps, the black community's on the other side of the steps. Everybody waiting to see what justice is going to do here. So we'll find out when that comes up. We'll let you know. But here's a good one. I talked about the red light ticket my son got with my van. The picture that the camera took clearly shows that the van is not in violation of the red light. It's not in violation. Their own evidence shows this. Well, anyway, what the police department does is they take a man and he reviews all the photographs of the vehicles that are going to get the ticket for going through the red light. And he signs a report that he looked at the picture, and there's enough probable cause here that person should get the ticket. Well, for 6 months, they're doing this. Policemen signing, supposedly, these tickets. But the policeman that signed it been dead for 7 months. He was dead for a month when they started signing his name, or somebody signed his name. Can you believe that? The dead guy signing tickets. Unbelievable. Say, but these red light tickets, that's for money to get out of your pocket. That's what that's all about. It's trying to get money from you. And that's why there's no points involved with a red light camera because they want you to pay. Now here for the dead guy signing the ticket, okay? Now how many citizens mailed the money in? See, every one of them tickets for 6 months should be voided. Every one of them. They should give the people back the money that paid in, and anybody that wanted to stand trial should be notified that, you know, it's dropped, you don't have to pay or do anything. But they're not going to do that. Would the mafia give you your money back? Of course not. Neither would the government. And let me continue this story about my car. You'll love this. My wife works at the Annapolis Mall, or did at the time. Well, as soon as they towed my car away, I took a van of mine, painted the same message on there, with the same letter to the governor in the windows, and I stood on the same spot with an American flag, and I dared these police to tow it while I'm standing there. We'll have a problem. Well, you know, like sissies, they, you know, you confront them, they back water. Well, anyway, at the time, I've got a pickup truck, a van, my car that's towed away, okay, and a Monte Carlo. So my wife's working at the mall. Now my Monte Carlo winds up in the shop also with 8 bullet holes in it. While my wife's home at night by herself, somebody shoots 8 bullet holes in my car. Can you believe that? Call the state police. They put something in the gas tank too, and fouled my engine up a little bit. And called the state police. They don't do nothing. It's just like unbelievable. So I got 2 cars that one's towed away by the police. The other one's got 8 bullet holes on it. But I still got a pickup truck and a van. So I'm out in the pickup truck. My wife's got to go to work. So they called her in. So the only thing she's got to drive is this van with this message on there. So she drives over to work at the Annapolis Mall. When the engineer at the mall comes out with the head security guy, and they decide to scrape all this writing off of my car, off my van. Well, that's called tampering. It's called tampering. It's a violation of the law. And the mall tells my wife, you don't have any constitutional rights when you come onto this mall. Can you believe that? You don't have any constitutional rights when you go to the Annapolis Mall. So, anyway, that's that. The following week, I got my van with the swastikas on it, vote for the senator, my phone number, everything on there, and I'm playing gospel music at the old age home Thursday night, and my wife calls me. One of the burglary suspects, who's a cocaine addict, is over at the mall watching my wife. I said, I'll be over 10 o'clock. That's when she gets off around that time. So I drive over to the mall, and I got this van with all this writing on it. So the first guard I see, I say, I'm all right here with this van. This guard says, I got a check. So I immediately pick my phone up and call my buddy Bobby Berger, infamous homicide detective from Baltimore City, retired. So he says, get your camera, take pictures of bumper stickers. You don't know what you're going to see on a bumper sticker, just in case something happens, you know, because you got the writing on there. And when we come back here, I'm going to tell you what these dumb guards did and these dumb police over at the Annapolis Mall because this senator told them to. Pete Richter, 410-848-9191, Liberty Works Radio Network. Get a coffee and come on back. Coming back to you again, Liberty Works Radio Network. Give me a call, 410-848-9191. So anyway, I'm going to continue this true story. And if anybody in Anne Arundel County Police or that Annapolis Mall want to tell me I'm not telling the truth, call up here. And I'll send you the videos. As a matter of fact, people, go to the YouTube. One word, Pete Richter Videos. And Richter is R-I-C-H-T-E-R. On the YouTube, Pete Richter Videos. R-I-C-H-T-E-R. And you'll see live footage of the stuff that I'm talking about here. So anyway, the guards, you know, they see me, and they all come out of the building. And one thing I want to say is, before we get started with this one, is that the mall hires the Anne Arundel County Police as security guards, guns, badges, cars, walkie-talkies, the whole 9 yards. That's a conflict of interest. Police shouldn't be allowed to be security guards. And the reason is, if he takes action, the liability is paid for by the taxpayers. And but the Anne Arundel County Police have all kinds of jobs. One of them, we got a guy named Leopold is the county administrator or executive, and he uses the Anne Arundel County Police to do his campaigning for him while these guys are on the clock. And they made two of them cops made like $113,000. The other one made like $115,000 as a security guard for this politician Leopold. Sure, they should protect the guy, but they shouldn't be going out taking people's campaign signs down and picking up donations in the police car while the taxpayers are paying for it. But anyway, this is what they do in Anne Arundel County. So anyway, my wife comes out of the building. Now I'm driving over to pick her up, the driver to her to the pickup truck that she's using. And it's a good long city block, so I drive over, and there's all kinds of guards standing there. So they start calling me names. So I'm stopped, and I rolled the window down. I said, "What you say?" So they keep it up. I grab my camera. But if you got a camera, people, leave it run. Every time I turn mine off, I wish I'd have had it on. So anyway, when I grab my camera and turn it on, it doesn't come on instantaneously. It takes a second or two, for the picture to start being captured. Well, when the camera comes on, you'll see a guard there with a black eye. Somebody give him a black eye. And he's the supervisor. And he tells me no videoing allowed at the mall. With that, there's another guard standing behind him. That guard lunges into my van, brushes past me, and tries to take my camera from me. Well, I take my left hand and grab him by the tricep of his right arm and throw him out of my car, out of my van. I call the Anne Arundel County Police that won't even take a report. Won't even take a report. Why? They work at the mall. Them mall guys are their buddies. They get like $25 an hour to be a security guard because the taxpayers are paying the liability insurance on them. The mall's not paying any of that. So I went to the police station, talked to a lieutenant, won't do nothing. And I got this video, showing them, this is what happened. Then I go to the court commissioners. The court commissioner would not charge the guard with assault and attempt robbery. The guard has me charged on a restraining order for assaulting him. The video shows the opposite. He writes an affidavit up basically saying he's standing on the sidewalk and I just drove by and snatched him up. Video proves the opposite. So go to court and show the video to a Judge Wilcox. He throws the case out. He ain't got nothing here. Well, why isn't this guard charged with perjury? Well, he signed that affidavit under threat of perjury. He comes to court and commits perjury. The judge knows he's committing perjury, and they don't do nothing. Wonder if it has anything to do with them deep pockets that the mall has. I don't know. So anyway, I write letters to the grand jury in Annapolis. Oh, let me back up a little bit. They then, after this case was thrown out with the restraining order, they charged me criminally for assaulting the guard. Restraining order, burden of proof is he said, she said. Criminally, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, if you can't get the restraining order, you sure can't get the assault charge. But, this senator has a lot of power. And the newspapers in Annapolis said that the senator was behind him coming after my wife that day, scraping his stuff off the writing off the van. So I called the state's attorney in Annapolis and I said, I don't want you to do anything with that case but take it to court. I want my day in court. I got video to prove they're all lying. Well, that's like talking to a brick wall. He's real nasty on the phone, and like a week before the trial date, he nolo prosecutes the case, which means he decided not to take the case to court. Which means for this charge, the security guard, a guy named Anthony Christians, committed perjury again because he had to make another affidavit out under oath. So he committed perjury 3 different times, and all that's okay. So like a year later now, my wife and I are going to go to movies over the Annapolis Mall. And she had her ankle operated on, so I said, I'll go in and find out what's playing. Go in, pick a brochure up. There's this Anthony Christian standing with a couple other guards. And without even stopping, I make eye contact with him. Move, turn my head to keep looking at him as I'm walking. I said, I'm going to see you in federal court one day. And that's it. We look at the brochure. When, we're not going to go to movies. I need gas. My gas light came on in my car. So there's a gas station off of the mall property across the street. So I go over to pump gas when the Anne Arundel County Police show up and tell me I'm barred from the mall. Banned from the mall. I said, I'm not banned from any mall. Well, we're going to find out. One thing leads to another, right? Well, here comes another Anne Arundel County policeman, Don Ward, who is a security guard at the mall when he's supposed to be off duty. And in his car is this Anthony Christians, the one that tried to rob me the year before. So I got the camera running on all this, and you can look this up on that Pete Richter videos on the YouTube. And this Don Ward, none of these guys wear their hats. He's got the skinhead haircut. He's not a big guy, but trying to act like a bandy rooster. You remember Barney Fife, one of them type guys. And he's got this piece of paper in his hand from the mall. And he says that this piece of paper tells me I'm banned from the mall. I said, well, that's wrong. I'm not banned from any mall. One thing leads to another. They get in your face. They taunt you. And I guarantee you, if we was in a dark alley, that police wouldn't open his mouth. But he's got help there. You got the Christian guy, Anthony Christian, and he's got the other police there. So he's like real mouthy, and trying to talk like a soldier would be talking. All that abrupt stuff. So anyway, he says, this tells you you're banned until a certain date. And this Christian, the guard, says something to him, that's the wrong date. The policeman, Don Ward, while he's on the clock and the taxpayers are paying him, takes this piece of paper, crosses out something on there, and writes other dates on there. Now, what hat's he wearing? What hat's he wearing? Let's say I was banned from the mall. I'm not on mall property at this gas station. If I was banned for the mall, why didn't the guard lock me up? Why? Because the police work there, and they use the police as their thugs. That's why. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way at all. But that's the way it is. And like I say, all this is on video. And Anne Arundel County Police work for Leopold, the politician, go around helping campaign on the taxpayers' dollar. It's just unbelievable what goes on, and you can't get nothing done. Get on that Pete Richter videos and look at the ones that I got them labeled AA County cops, doing something, and tell me what should happen. So, what should happen? And let me give you a good one here. Bureau of Justice indicated that out of 19.3 million traffic stops, 1.3 million motorists were searched, but almost 90% of the searches yielded no incriminating evidence. These searches included both the vehicle interior and as well as the trunk. Now, 19 million cars stopped, 1,300,000 searched, and almost 90% yielded no evidence of anything wrong. Why are they searching all these people? And one of the reasons is because you give them permission to let them search it. Never, ever give the police permission to search your car. What are you going to do if he puts something in there? Say it's not yours? No way. Never let them search your car. And there's only certain times that they can search your car. One of them is you give them consent. Another one is the plain view rule, where they look in, see some illegal contraband, then they can search. And then if they lock you up, arrest you, then they can search you. But you just don't let the police search you. This is not Nazi Germany. This is not communist Russia. You have a constitutional right, but you got to stand up for it. And when you stand up for it, you'll be battered down like me. I'm going to sing you a song now. And let me get my flat-top guitar out here. This country's based on Christian religion. You don't have to be a Christian to live here. But that's what it's based on. And I'm so glad them forefathers that we had them Christian values. And I'm sure, other religions have good values too, but this is the ones we have. Here's a song Elvis did. Black guy wrote this song. He was a cotton picker from Georgia, went up north to work in the factories. His wife and kid died at childbirth. And this song came to him in 30 seconds. When my way groweth drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Oh dear Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. Tired, I'm weak, and I'm worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When the shadows appear and the night draweth near, and my day is almost gone, at the river I stand, guide my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Oh dear Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. Tired, I'm weak, and I'm worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Yeah, we all got a home up in heaven. Getting there's a problem. But I'll tell you one thing. I guarantee you heaven ain't overloaded with politicians or big shot businessmen. It's loaded with a lot of American boys that fought and died, girls too, for this Constitution in our country. That's what heaven's loaded with. And while we're down here, we got to stand up for the Constitution and the law. We're a republic. The law's got to be supreme. You can't have these crooked judges just doing what they want and getting away with it. We'll see you next week. Pete Richter signing off.